time to look at all our round 7 tips. Tim Williams has forged 2 ahead on the leaderboard for the year, but there are some brave plays from Josh and Chris this weekend. Now, lads, obviously this week is a big test in round 7. Josh has tipped the Roosters and the Storm. Do we agree with him with this one?
Yeah, look, we'll see about this one. I mean, interesting to see the leaderboard there, though. The cream rising to the top pretty quickly. Lucky you blokes could play footy because the analytical mind's a bit more questionable. Look, there are some tough games there. With the Manly Seagulls, I just like that. It's become a bit of an ambush factor. Teams bounce back after big losses more often than not, and I think they're a pretty resilient side. So I think at Brookvale, the Battle of Brookie, I think they'll get up for it. Melbourne, they started slow, 2 really big weeks, but I'm tipping Manly.
I think I am down by 7 points, and the Tigers are 0-6, and I've had tipped the Tigers 6 in a row, so could have made up a few there. But I agree with you with the Seagulls. I think at home they tend to bounce back and put on a really good performance, and they start well. I think they start well. Again, a side like South Sydney, they build some momentum. Tommy Turbo starts to hit his straps. He's been a little quiet over the last couple of weeks. And then obviously the Sharks and Roosters, to be honest, it was a bit of a flip of the coin. I've gone with the Sharks coming off the bye, came off a loss they should have won. And again, the Craig Fitzgibbon coach side coming up against his old club. They didn't drop 2 in a row last year. In a tight game, I think it might even go to Golden Point, but hopefully we can get those two up.
Josh, what do you like about the Roosters? Is it the return of James Tedesco back from concussion? Or what is it about the Roosters?
Yeah, I think he's a massive part of why I chose them as well, but they have a really good record there at Shark Park. Trent Robinson doesn't like losing to his understudies as well. Yeah. So they make a big habit of these games, of winning these games, and I think they're ready for a big performance after a disappointing game against the Storm. The Storm, on the other hand, against Manly, I think they've been playing a really gritty style of football, the style that we knew the Storm was like, and they've had
Storm of old. They've
had 2 good wins against South and the Roosters. So if they continue to play that way, they'll drag Manly into that battle of Brookie, as we said, and they'll come away with the win. And Munster at fullback, I think that's massive. I think the more he can get his hands on the ball, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Chris, you've gone alone in tipping the Cowboys to get the job done across the ditch. Tell us why you think they can get the job done over the Warriors.
I just think they've had such a slow start to the year, and they were so good last year. I just think that at some point in time, they've got to turn things around. Like, they can't go from, such an informed team, everything clicking last year, to being so poor this year. I think they're still finding, I suppose, that second style of play. Obviously, they probably took a lot of teams by surprise last year. A lot of teams have probably game planned them a lot more. So I think if they just find that plan B in games when their initial plans aren't working, they'll get the job done. And I think, going up against a Warriors team who have been, a bit hot or cold, given they've probably exceeded some expectations to a degree. One
team that has hit their straps this year is the Penrith Panthers. They've really put some consistent games together. They come up against the Knights. Are you convinced by this one, Josh?
Yeah, I think they're playing some of their best footy now, and they've had 2 big wins. I feel sorry for the team they're coming up against this week. Lost Jaden Brayley during the week as well to ACL. So he's a massive loss for the Knights.
Dominic Young's been super impressive out there for the Newcastle Knights. What are you impressed about him most, Tim?
Hasn't he been good? I think just work ethic's been really good with both Dominic Young and Greg Marju. They're getting through so many carries and so many quality carries as well. So it's such a big factor for that Newcastle Knights outfit. They do have at times a few defensive deficiencies in them, those 2 wingers, which you can get away with at times, but against the Penrith Panthers, you can't. So it'll be interesting to see if they can get up for that one. I really hope they do, because I love both of those players as attacking wingers. Let's see if they can do it in defence against the best side in the NRL.
I am going to direct this one back to you, Tim, because we want to know what your secret is to winning the leaderboard at the moment. I mean, we know Chris is right down the bottom, but what's the secret? Is it just being a stats man? Can you give us an insight?
Yeah, look, Eloise, I consume a hell of a lot of footy during the week and over the weekend and whatnot, so you can play as many games as you want between you boys, but if you're not watching every game like I am, then you're playing for second place.
Wait till you have a couple of kids, mate, and then you'll see how much footy you get to actually watch.
Well, I think you're tipping with your head, not with your heart. I think that's where I'm going right at the moment.
Yeah, well, let's just touch on that just lastly. We don't want to rub it in, but the West Tigers do get 2 points this week. Can they bounce back after a bye, Chris?
Well, I think the most important thing, I've got to really decide who I'm going to tip after the bye. Do I continue to tip the Tigers and stick solid, or do I try to go the reverse psychology, tip against them with the hope they win? So, yeah, look, they got the bye. To be honest, the bye has probably come at the best possible chance to try and reset and come back. And and hopefully, you know, get a win in the not too distant future.
Yeah, fingers crossed for West Tigers fans. Well, thanks Josh, Tim and Chris, and thank you as well at home. What a round of footy we have ahead of us. Don't forget to subscribe below and follow us on socials. We'll be back next week on Fox Sports Lab NRL.
League is life. It's exhilaration, anticipation, highs and highlights. League is everything. That's why we've made a betting brand for league fans. That's better. Chances are you're about to lose.